welcome to Today with Dana Shay's Relationship Q&A. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope that these videos are really helping you, whether you have a relationship question or maybe you just actually like helping other people with their relationship questions and you're using these videos to help you to do so. Whatever your reasons for watching these videos, I definitely appreciate your support. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I want to encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Now, today's relationship question actually brings me much joy because many times I actually get questions from young people and people who are having, usually romantic relationship problems. And so today I want to share with you all an email that I received from someone, and I really believe that parents all over the world will really be able to relate to this. So listen here. It says, "Dear Dana, I know that most of your relationship advice is geared toward young people, but I'm reaching out to you because of a status I saw on your Facebook page. My problem is that I don't really like my teenage daughter. She's rude, inconsiderate, ungrateful, and demanding. I have no idea where I went wrong. Most of our days are spent arguing or giving each other the silent treatment. She says I'm too strict, I don't listen, and a host of other things. I'm at my wit's end and I find myself checking off the days on my calendar when she'll be out of here. I don't want to look back over these years with regret, but I really need a lifeline here. Please help. Stressed out mom in Fayetteville, North Carolina." Well, stressed out mom, I think again that so many parents can relate to this. I know I certainly can. As a mom of my son will be almost 50, well, my son will be 15 in just a couple of weeks here, I definitely can relate to these teenage years where it seems like these cute, wonderful little innocent children that you've raised have now turned into these alien creatures that you do not recognize and you cannot figure out what in the world is wrong with them because there's something wrong all the time. They have an attitude or something, and I too understand where you're coming from when you say, where did I go wrong? And I really want to share with you a resource today that really helped me. This book is called Loving Our Kids on Purpose. And my husband and I actually took this class last year with a group of parents, and it dramatically changed how we relate to our kids. Now, we have 4 kids. Our oldest is almost 15. Our youngest just turned 5. And so we have, from preschool through the teenage years. And, it's interesting because obviously each child is different, and the way that you parent one child is going to be different than the way that you parent another child. But I want to share with you some resources, or some info, I should say, that I got out of this book that has really helped me to be able to relate to my oldest son. First of all, one thing that you need to understand is that teenagers going through this season of their lives, they are struggling for independence. And so it's not necessarily that your daughter doesn't like you or that she thinks you're stupid. It's that she is struggling for her independence. She wants to be independent of mom and mom's rules and mom's philosophies and mom's way of life, even though she values those things, even though I'm sure she'll never tell you that, but she does value those things. But at the same time, she wants to get her independence as well. And so that's where the struggle comes in, the power struggle. And so if you can just appreciate the fact that she's growing up, like I've had to do with my son, I've had to say, look, I understand that you're growing up. I'm glad that you're growing up. I know that you have a different way of thinking about life than I do. I'm not here to try to conform you to be like me. But I also have been a teenager before. I've been down the road that you're on. Now, I haven't been a teenage boy, but I have been a teenager. Dad has been a teenage boy. So my husband is able to kind of give him some of that knowledge that I'm not necessarily able to relate to in that way. But in any case, I think the first thing that you need to do is really set some boundaries with your daughter and let her know. When I say the word boundaries, I'm not saying rules. What I'm saying is set some limitations with her, set an expectation of how you want your relationship to operate. One of the things that we have a problem with as parents sometimes is being vulnerable with our children. Now, when I say the word vulnerable, I don't mean be emotionally needy. And I don't mean that you're going to turn into this hodgepodge of, crying tears mush mom. That's not at all what I mean. What I mean is you need to be willing to share your heart, because a lot of times teenagers, they don't understand or get the fact that you're a human being. You have feelings, you have emotions, your feelings get hurt just like hers. And so if you're able to communicate that with her and let her know, listen, I love you and I understand that you're growing up and I want you to grow up and I want you to get your independence, but I'm here to help guide you. That's my job. That's why I'm called a guardian, because I'm here to guard and to protect and to help guide you into this next phase of your life. But I want to share with you just a couple of tips that I got out of this book that I just thought were absolutely brilliant. And again, they really changed the way that I was able to relate to my son, and hopefully they'll be able to change the way that you relate to your daughter. The first thing is your teenager has to feel connected in their relationship with you. You know, it sounds so simple, but so many times we parents treat our kids like they're not really separate human beings from us. And so we'll, command them, hey, do this, go here, go there, get that for me. And we don't take into consideration that maybe they were doing something at that time. I know my son and I, we have this thing now where, he used to just like ignore me. Like I'd be like, hey, I need you to go wash the dishes, or I need you to go take out the trash. And he just wouldn't do it. And I'd be like, did you hear what I said? And he'd be like, oh, well, I'm doing such and such right now. And now that was a lesson for me, because I realized I need to respect the fact that he's in the middle of something. But then I had to say, okay, but I still asked you to do such and such. So let's communicate. If you're in the middle of something, all you need to say is, hey, Mom, I'm in the middle of, this game, or I'm in the middle of brushing my teeth or whatever. Can you give me a minute? Now, if it's really important and I need you to like cut the game off and do it right now, I have the right to say that, and I will, and I need you to just do it. But there are times that I'm saying, you know what? Okay, I understand. That's fine. Finish doing what you're doing and then go do it. So your teenager needs to feel that they are a person, and they need to feel connected with you. They need to be able to understand that, Mom isn't just someone who's just here to exist to meet all of my needs. Does your daughter see you having relationships with your friends? Does she see you doing things that you like to do? Does she see you living your life? Because the only way that she's really going to be able to model a healthy relationship back to you is if you model that to her. So giving her her space, giving her her independence, appreciating her different opinions on things, even if you don't agree. There's sometimes my son will say like the most off the wall stuff, and I just have to say, that's really interesting. I never thought about it that way before. Never ever thought about it that way before. But that's what you have to do. You have to let them know that they're valuable, okay? So keep that in mind. Another thing is, it's funny because we learned these words in this book, and these are kind of like stop argument words, right? Because every teenager loves to argue with their parents. So they can only argue with you if you allow them to. I tell my kids, I'm not going to argue with the child. I'm just not going to do that. But then I turn around and do it. So what I've had to learn how to do is how to use words that stop arguments. Words like, oh, probably so. Really? That could be. I know. So when they're talking and, oh, that's not fair. You said this, you said that. Oh, I know. What do you mean you know? That's not fair. I know. And you're not doing it in a sarcastic way, but you're doing it in a way that basically lets them know, I love you too much to argue with you. I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with you because we're not getting anywhere. You don't agree with me and I don't agree with you. I'm the parent, and so instead of us arguing, I understand your point of view. I'm sorry you feel the way you do, but this is what's going to happen. Okay? And when you can do that in love, and trust me, I'm not an expert here. I am still learning and actually literally doing this as I'm sharing this video. This is what I'm doing, but I want to tell you that it does work when you can actually begin to see yourself apart from the argument. Don't get so emotionally involved in it, and they're throwing out words, and hopefully your child's not cursing at you, because again, there's some boundaries, some things I just do not tolerate. You should not tolerate that, okay? So I'm not saying just let this thing be like a free-for-all and let her talk to you any old kind of way. However, what I'm saying is to really listen, because when I take the time and I really listen to my son's heart and not necessarily listen to his words, then I'm able to connect with him on what's really going on with him. And so do that. Listen to what she's trying to say, not necessarily to what she's saying. If she's saying that you're too strict, maybe look at your rules and say, am I too strict? I remember telling my mom that, and my mom was too strict. And once I was able to say, Mom, I was younger than all of my friends because I had skipped a grade. And so a lot of my mom's rules were just based off of age. Simply that. Like, I couldn't date until I was 16 just because. Like, there was no real reason why. Now, by the time I was 16, I was already a senior in high school, There was other things that my mom would, you have to be home at 9:30. But I'm a senior in high school, and all of my friends don't have curfews or have 1 o'clock curfews or whatever. So my mom had to be flexible and say, you know what, okay, maybe those rules that I had for your sister back in 1980 aren't necessarily applicable for you. And so be flexible. The last thing is, one thing that's really helped me to maintain my sanity in these years is finding humor in every situation, and that's not easy to do, especially when your emotions are on overdrive and you're mad and your child is saying something and they're being disrespectful. But sometimes I'll just start laughing. That is like the best thing in the world, because your kids think you're absolutely crazy, and then they'll kind of like back off because they're like, what is this crazy, insane woman going to do? But then the second thing is you actually bring yourself to a different state of mind. Instead of being caught up in that negative, hostile energy, you really begin to literally change your state. And so I want to share with you a really, really funny story. This is so brilliant. I wish I would have thought about it myself. So now this, because you have a teenage daughter, I don't have a teenage daughter yet. My daughter's 12, so I've got another year that I, have before I'm actually probably going to have to use a story like this. But listen to this. I thought this was so brilliant. Okay, so the writer, his name is Danny Silk. He says, I have the privilege of teaching parenting skills at local high schools. One of my favorite stories was from a lady who said her 14-year-old daughter asked her if they could go to the mall together. She was kind of blossoming and getting some curves and bumps. She came out of her room with these tiny little shorts and a little half shirt. Everything was on display as she walked down the hall and into the living room. Her mom was thinking, okay, I got this. I got it. All right. So her mom went into her room. She pulled out the bottom drawer, reached in the back, and found some shorts. Because mom had also blossomed over the years too. So mom got in her little shorts, and mom had a lot more going on than her daughter. Mom had her tiny little shirt and shorts on and came down the hallway. The daughter looked at her mom and said, "Where do you think you are going dressed like that?" Mom said, "I'm going to the mall with you." The daughter said, "I am not going anywhere out of this house with you looking like that." Mom looked at her and the daughter goes, "Humph." Her daughter went back into her room and changed her clothes. Brilliant. The mom didn't have to say anything. She didn't have to lecture. She need to talk to her about, what kind of message you're portraying when you do that. She just did something out of the box. She found humor in that situation, and I guarantee you her daughter and her will never have to have the whole modesty conversation. And so my advice to you in Fayetteville is think outside the box. Connect with your daughter. Use some of those stop words that I shared earlier to stop arguments, and find humor in every situation. You know what? You have got an army of other moms who are probably just as frustrated as you are. But one thing I want to share with you that a friend of mine shared with me, she said, Dana, these teenage years are just a season. You're going to get through them and everything is going to be great. If you love your child through this, you will be able to preserve an incredible relationship that will last for the rest of your life. So I hope that this video has helped you and encouraged you. Mom in Fayetteville and any other parent who's listening, please share this video with another parent who they're going through some challenges with their teenager or young person. And if you have a relationship question that you want me to answer on the show, please send me an email at Q&A@danashay.com. Have a great day. Bye-bye.